Ready?
Recording.
Good morning. You're doing
That's
well.
it. Okay, this is Fanny Anzai channel. I'm Fanny Anzai, and today we have here with us the interview with Larry Rhodes.
Hello.
Good morning, Larry. Thank you for coming.
Good morning.
Please, can you introduce yourself to our audience for the ones that did not see our previous video?
I'm an active atheist in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm the one who founded the Atheist Society of Knoxville, which has about 973 members, I believe, as of this morning. I've also been the president for 2 years running of the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I do a radio show every Wednesday. Anzai, you're on the show, been on it a couple times now. It shows Wednesday about 7 o'clock p.m. It's also available on Stitcher and iTunes as a podcast, and you can download them from DigitalFreethought.com. Go to the podcast, well, go to blog and then go to the podcast to download them. I've written a book, Atheism, What's It All About? ? And you have to go to, I guess, Amazon if you want to get a hard copy of it, or even an electronic copy. But if you want to, you can go to DigitalFreethought.com and read the articles that are in the book, and that's available to anyone for free.
That's really nice. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for the introduction. And going around your channel, the YouTube channel that is relatively old, apparently there is no recent activity from your part.
I've been writing articles and going down on campus and sitting out at an Ask an Atheist booth. My time has really been tied up with that sort of thing. So I haven't put any new videos up there for quite a while. But the ones that I have put up cover the main topics: Pascal's wager, what is atheism, how we define the word, other things like that. They're all atheist related, though.
Yeah, I've been through those videos, specifically the Atheist 101 from Larry Rhodes' channel, YouTube channel.
Also known as Doubter 5.
Sorry?
Also known as Doubter 5. You can find me on YouTube that way.
Oh, okay, good to know. I did not know that. Yeah. I always search, I'm subscribed to your channel, I'm one of your followers, so I have been through this specific playlist, the Atheist 101, a few times. I really enjoy to go through the same arguments, like we have talked previously, the same fallacies and arguments that the religious people keep circling around. Right. And it gets so common that we end up feeling like we should make an answer that is easier to pull during a conversation in an argument and not have to keep repeating it.
Well, like I'm on Facebook a lot, arguing with theists over those various points. So I tend up making a lot of memes that, you know, they make an apologetic argument, and I just post a meme and go on to the next one. But it's important to have something like that available to you quickly, or you'll spend all of your time typing the same things over and over again. So memes fill a function that way. I just wish I could use it.
And the good thing about your videos, they are short, concise, very clear, and direct on the point, very objective. You know, sometimes we end up like over explaining our points when we're trying to defend those, right, you know, to debate those points. And your arguments are just really good. I will put the cards here. People should check somewhere here. We're going to have a little link. Okay. Can go straight to your videos, to your channel. Okay, but then I did a little bit on the study on like watching again over and over your videos, just because they're really good, and also sharing them on some Facebook groups on atheists, because I think it's easy. It's a good practical guide for new atheists that are encountering this type of discussions and this type of arguments, you know, so it's good to prepare people for it. And I like that in the first video, you talk about the atheism and the agnosticism, and showing and clarifying a lot of what is each term, because people have a lot of misunderstanding on
Yeah, well,
those.
the term agnostic has been used so many times and for so long for somebody who's unsure whether there's God or not. You know, they say, I don't know if there's God or not. And that's true, but it still doesn't tell you what they believe. I mean, you can have an agnostic who's unsure about being, you know, God's being around, but at the same time, he doesn't believe in any gods. He doesn't pray. He doesn't go to church. You know, he doesn't subscribe to any of those supernatural beliefs from religion. But he's just not sure if there's a God or not. And I agree. I'm an agnostic atheist myself. I'm an agnostic because I don't know if there are gods out there or not. But all the ones that have been presented to me with no evidence to support them whatever has led me to not believe that there are any gods out there. So I'm an agnostic and an atheist.
That's really nice. I have done videos in Portuguese trying to explain that, because it's a term that is really badly understood in Brazil as well. People think, oh, there is such an agnostic or agnostic person. And in my opinion, we all are agnostics, because nobody actually knows the truth, you know, and knows is the knowledge, and not the knowledge like some people want to display as like they change the meaning of the gnosis for like have heard of it. So there are people that want to use this as like, oh no, if you heard of Christ, you have the gnosis of it. And it's like, no, it's like if I really know the truth of the existence. And I like to put in the point of like some religious people that are so centered in their own beliefs that they do not even see that there are other gods. And in between the war, if there is God or not, they still need to fight in between them which God is the true one.
Right. And most of the most of the arguments put forward by theists center around things like a first cause, or argument from design, or argument from look at the trees. You know, all of these things, which could point technically to any god ever worshipped on the planet. I mean, the Hindus say it's their god, the Mormons say it's their god, the Muslims say it's their god, Christians, and all that stuff. But all it really points to is, even if you credit it at all, it points to a deistic God. In other words, a God who just started the universe and either went away or died or just decided he was going to watch us and not interact with us at all. He has no holy book, no dogma, nothing. Matter of fact, the first founders of of America were mostly deists. Thomas Paine, Monroe, Madison were deists, and that they thought a God existed and created the universe, but it wasn't the Christian God, it wasn't the Muslim God. Matter of fact, Thomas Paine, in his Age of Reason, argued that, you know, my God is not the God of the Bible, because he wouldn't do the stuff in that book. You know, my God is a good God, and the God of the Bible is a terrible God. Killing people left and right, giving them diseases, flooding the world, et cetera, et cetera. So
I like Stephen Fry when he's asked about like when you encounter God, and he's like, he would be pretty pissed at him and ask, how dare you do those things? You know, how can you be so evil and want us to worship you?
Right. But, you know, I don't credit God claims at all. I mean, there's probably natural causes for all of the things that the deists claim, like first cause and argument from design and all this stuff. But if that God is real, you have to make the leap, the logical leap, and show evidence for why you did it, from that God to your God. And nobody ever does that. They just claim it. It's just a simple claim that they throw out. That God, the creator God, is my God, with no evidence or logic trained to go to it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the same thing falls into the Pascal's wager. If there is a God, and if you are praying for the wrong one, you're still going to go to hell anyways. You know, You're not going to go to heaven. And in fact, apparently now people are going to many more hells than going to one heaven, because sometimes they cannot even reach the one that they are aiming. according to their own laws, they cannot follow the, for example, like I see in Brazil, people are majority Christians, and we have some evangelicals or very strict into the Bible readings, and they totally dismiss the Old Testament because they have no knowledge of it at all. It's very interesting when you confront them with those knowledge. They like, no, those things are not in the Bible. Or in the end, if they find out, it's like, oh, but I don't follow the Old Testament.
Right. Well, it is surprising that they come to my Ask an Atheist table, and they find that me, an atheist, is telling them to read their book, read their holy book, because I generally know it better than they do. I haven't read it all the way through. I'm just very familiar with a lot of the stories in there. I don't know, maybe even a half of the stories in there. And they aren't pretty stories. They aren't nice stories. Matt Dillahunty on the Atheist Experience out of Austin, Texas, often makes the bet, if you will allow me to, I will read the Bible to your children. They say, no, don't do that. Because he would pick out the parts of the Bible that they skip over.
Yeah, the picking and choosing that is totally dismissed by the priests and pastors, definitely. Yeah, it's very interesting. And I don't know if it happened to you, but I came to read the Bible, in fact, just after I became an atheist. When I was a religious person, I was just like, as most of religious people, oh, Bible is a fantastic book. It's probably full of moral stuff coming from God's, and I never actually opened, and everything that I actually knew was coming from listening to the priest in the mass, and I was confronted with I was confronting my own beliefs, that it would not make sense. The little bit I knew did not make sense, and when I became an atheist and I opened the book and I found out that I was saying something really silly before that, because when I was a believer, I would say oh, I did not read the Bible, but I believe it's a really great book. And then I became an atheist, read it, and it's I can't believe it's so full of immoralities. Yeah. So it's like before I would say it's probably like a penal code, you do this to the people that do that. And then later I found out that was more this is the code of the things that you're supposed to not do. Right. Because all the examples that show there are so terrible that this definitely what not to do.
And it always seems to be under pain of death too. Now, Leviticus and Deuteronomy are just full of codes that they tell you not to do. And the Christians just pick and choose from it like everybody else does. The thing about it is that the very fact that they pick and choose the things that they believe are good versus the things that they don't believe are good proves that they're using an independent moral system from the Bible. Because if they were using the Bible as their guide to morality, they would believe it all. They would enforce it all. But no, they don't. They're not going to try to tell you to go out and get slaves, kill homosexuals, kill non-virgin women on their wedding night, kill unruly children, or even hunt down and kill witches like they used to. But nowadays we've evolved and we get away from the book, and we're all the better for it.
Yes, we did, and they still cannot deal with this changing morals of God that the emperor supposed to be immutable. It's supposed to not change, but it keeps changing morals throughout time, and not really God, but people did change their moralities, and now they try to fit and explain and apologize with the old scriptures, saying oh, it's because of the time. So the problem is they are so arbitrary and so double standard that they keep switching over into their arguments depending on the subject of it. So one of the things that I thought, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was going to talk about morality. If you're following the rules of the Bible, the Deuteronomy or even the Leviticus or the Ten Commandments, following rules is not morality. It's obedience. It's a totally different thing. Morality is trying to decide what is the best form of action to minimize harm, to help your neighbor flourish, do better, and just following a simple list of rules is not morality. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I like the way that you talk in the Atheism 101, one of the videos, about how the acts and behavior of an atheist is so much superiorly moral because there is no intention behind it.
Right.
Not like the religious person that's doing fearing hell or seeking for the salvation and the heavens forever. It has this intention, this second intention in putting in it, and I think it what makes us like, I don't think that is being real good. It's kind of a fallacy to say like you're not real good, but it is such a thing, because if you have an intention behind that, that doesn't sound like it good at all.
Right.
And one of the questions that in the first video of the Atheist 101 I thought was interesting is like the lady that gives you the questions asks if you worship Satan. And of course, the same way that I think you would answer my question, it's like it's really hard to have any feelings for things that you don't believe they do even exist. Yeah. But it's interesting because she made that question that I think is more popular, of people that believe there is only like one God and Satan, and do not even see other gods and other types of entities or deities. Yeah. In Brazil, people would ask you like more, do you hate God? Instead of asking if you love or worship Satan. So I think in Brazil they have other perspective of atheists. Atheist is not the one that loves Satan; it's the one that hates God. So that would be the question. They normally ask atheists like, "Why do you hate God? What happened in your life that made you walk away from religion?"
Right. I get that a lot. You know, what happened in your life? Why are you mad at God? Because they cannot conceive that somebody would actually believe that God is really not there, does not exist. But if you take a step back and you look at the stories that are given by the other religions, like Muhammad, when he died, well, he didn't really die, I guess. He jumped on a flying horse and flew to heaven. That type of thing. They say that's fantastic.
Not even Jesus died, no? Can you consider that Jesus died if he was resurrected 3 days after?
Flew into the air like Superman, raised into heaven, theoretically. But it's just silly when you step back and you look at the other religions, like Christians look at it, Muslim and Mormonism. If they stepped outside and gave Christianity their test of the other religion, they would see that the stories are just that. And atheists don't buy into those stories, so why would they buy into the concept of a God or Satan or angels or souls or heaven or hell? Any of that stuff. Most Western atheists would say we live in a natural world. There's nothing supernatural about it. So why would we be mad at a God that doesn't exist or follow a Satan that doesn't exist? You would just as soon ask a Christian, you don't believe in God, Santa Claus, do you? And they'd say no. So why are you mad at him?
Yeah,
same thing. But what do you do?
Why did you not? Yeah, why did he not bring your gifts in the last Christmas?
What happened to
now
you?
You don't like it anymore.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting. Just yesterday we're talking about this subject is specific, like how to approach beliefs, and I was like, I think we need to go slowly and always step backwards, step when it's not getting a common ground. And it is a good example to try to level the superstitions, is what I would say, because sometimes what you see is like religious people is like, if you ask about their confidence on their beliefs, they will say like, oh, I'm 100% confident or strong, like over 90% confident on my God. I'm kind of like not that confident. What I believe would be a honest default answer. To say that you would be like not that confident, but you would have to give this a really high level of confidence for other gods and other entities that people claim with the same methods that you claim yours. So I would say like, oh, if I'm 90% confident of my God, in the time that I was a believer, I would say I was 75% that the other gods are also true, or maybe they do exist as well, because the other people are just using the same method as I am. But then you go to like other type of supernatural beings, and they're like fairies and other, gnomes and other things, and they say like, oh, okay, those I'm not sure, I cannot deny, but I will not put so much confidence. So they would drop like to 40, and then comes to like silly beliefs like, oh yeah, no, for sure I don't believe tooth fairy or Santa Claus or the Easter bunny. And then what you need to approach is like the level of confidence should be all the same. So you need to start first approaching those beliefs and showing like, what is your evidence for any of those? Pretty much nothing. And then in the end, get them closer to level all of them as like they should be all equally strong.
Well, to an atheist, they are all equally the same. They're all supernatural beings, of which there is no evidence.
So one of the things that Brazilians are still struggling a lot, and I think that's why I'm kind of taking so long on speaking of the first video of the Atheism 101, because they are very into like God is everything that the Bible says. And I keep trying to talk to people, and I have had some even like philosophy students, like more like graduating in philosophy, that came to argue with me on Facebook and actually tell me that I should not be talking about philosophy because I don't have a degree in the subject. And I was like, philosophy is like thinking, so you just need to have a brain to do it. I don't think you need to have a degree to talk about philosophy.
There's an old saying I always like to go with. Philosophy is every man's second occupation. Every person's second occupation, because everybody involves themselves in philosophy. They always have some stance on some worldview, and to say you can't do that, that's silly.
Yeah, because in the riddle that you actually portray so well in your video, I did not know the name. I did not know was like it had a specific name in philosophy. So when I faced that, I could explain everything, how God cannot be good and powerful and knowing at the same time. They would just like dismiss my arguments just because I did not know the name of the theory. Like some people on Facebook and some people on the Discord when I was arguing those things, they were like, oh no, I'm not going to take you serious because you cannot name the theory or the name in philosophy. And I was like, this is totally broken. You can totally use your brain and find out what I'm saying is not that
they're moving the goalpost on it. Any philosophy or any argument has to stand on its own legs. Even if Socrates had not lived, but somebody else had come up with the ideas and wrote them down and passed them down, and we forgot who they were, had no idea who they were, the arguments themselves would still stand. And it's the same with Epicurus, which you were talking about, the riddle of Epicurus. And it's to put it short, let's go ahead and do it. If God is willing to prevent evil but not able, then he's not omnipotent. If he's able but not willing, then he's malevolent. If he's both able and willing, why do we have evil? And if he's neither able or willing, then why would we call him God? Those stand on their own legs. They stand for as well as if Popeye had said them.
And I think that is a great thing. Is like one of the bases that you actually don't really need the name. You can, like you said, by reason and logic, you can find that out.
Right.
That God, by the essence of what is to be God, he's not fulfilling.
Right. this is one of the reasons some people say that they can prove God doesn't exist, because the descriptions of God is internally inconsistent or contradictory, and a being like that can't exist.
That's really nice. Thank you very much. And I'm not finishing here, but I really like the way that you close this way. It's really good. So, do you have a favorite Bible passage that you like to use sometimes when you talk to religious people, or someone that doesn't? I don't have much time, but you would like to plant that little seed.
Well, a lot of people who come to my table and ask me about Bible passages and talk about how good the Bible is and stuff, I try to tell them, did you know that there's a passage in Deuteronomy that says that if you don't follow all of God's commandments, and there are 613 of them, not just 10, that God will bring you so low that you will eat your own children. Deuteronomy 28:53, I think it is. And then there's another passage, it slips my mind now. In John 3:16, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son that you should have eternal life. Well, John 3:18 says, but if you don't take that bargain, that offer, we'll send you to hell. They don't mention that, and a lot of people don't know it. They know John 3:16. They also don't know that there are like 2 or 3 different versions of the 10 Commandments in Exodus. And by the way, if you just go to Exodus and look for 10 Commandments, you're not going to find it. It's in different passages. But Moses theoretically went up on the mountain, got his 10 Commandments, came back down, broke them. When he got all mad, back up and got another set, but they don't match each other. What, did God forget what he was going to say? Did he change his mind? So, these are better. Use these.
Maybe he's like the gods of the Mormons.
Yeah, who knows? It's just the whole Bible is just silly. Like in the Garden of Eden. Why did God even put the tree in the garden? He could have put it on the moon. Did he not know what was going to happen? He's supposed to be omniscient. If he's omnipresent, he's everywhere all the time. Where was he when the snake was tempting Eve? And if he's omnipotent, knows everything, then why was he walking through the garden afterwards saying, "Where are you? I don't see you"? Was he just playing games with us at a time humanity needed him the most? None of this makes any sense. But, you just like the story and say it's a good story and give it to your kids. Let them worry about it.
I actually think that is a very fun reading. If you use your reason and your logic, you're just going to find yourself giggling and laughing at it all the time.
If you read it like home.
My Bible is all written. I like to make little cartoons of the inconsistencies, and I have fun. I actually enjoy it.
You'll need to show me those cartoons sometime. I would like to see them.
I have in my Genesis has like a little timeline of all the inconsistencies, how the things do not work, how we came up to have the sun in the 4th day, and how do they count the days if you did not have the sun. It's really interesting, a lot of nonsensical claims.
Right.
And one of the things that is I think is one of the most breaks the people's mind is they enter into the one bit of the dissonance of that the religious people have is to not think that God is punishing them for something that he planned. It's how malevolent. It's I like to make this analogy saying it's like you see your kid as you watching your daughter or your son doing something bad, and you let them do it just to punish them. I see he's gonna do something wrong, and I'm not gonna stop to tell him that is wrong. I'm gonna let him do it wrong to do the negative, the negative interaction, to punish him instead of teaching him how to do it right.
And
It's a
what's
very
really
bad parenting.
yeah. Oh, what's really bad is that it doesn't really matter if you do good or bad. None of that matters, even to God, because at the end of the day, all that matters to get into heaven is that you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior into your heart. You know, look at Jeffrey Dahmer. He was a homosexual, a murderer, and a cannibal. He got into prison, and before he was murdered, put to death by the system, he accepted Jesus Christ. So theoretically, he's in heaven. So
Yes.
whatever you do, you can be forgiven as long as you accept Jesus Christ. So where does this claim come from of superior morality? That's what I want to know. You know,
Yeah.
they just glommed on to morality and say, yeah, that's ours. We did that. But really, humans have been having good morals, informing societies for thousands of years before Moses came along and with his 10 Commandments, or Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Even Confucius said that in a certain sense before 500 years before Jesus did. So, it's just a claim, just like they claim that Jesus was born on the 25th of December. What they're trying to do is usurp the winter equinox and claim it as theirs. They claim the spring rebirth as Easter, so it's now theirs. You know, they just hijack everything they can that's good and call it their own. Say, we did that.
It is the same way that the evangelical church work in Brazil. You see them take like a lot of other mythology and everything, and that does not match, doesn't make sense together sometimes.
Right.
But they do like it's just a lot of superstitious, ritualistic things that really take people by their beliefs. I don't know, some type people get more like interested in like a supernatural obscure things than science and enlightenment. Interesting enough. And unhappily they are taking they are taking over. I hope not like we're fighting back, trying to like open people's eyes and like just show, like explore the epistemology of the beliefs. I think is a good way to not convince people, but to make them think straight and think properly about all those
Give them the tools
claims.
they need to be able to think straight or examine their beliefs, or the path that they take and that they take logically to arrive at their beliefs. We don't really want to attack the beliefs directly per se, but the methods that they use to arrive at those beliefs should be examined.
Yeah, and the burden of proof is always like trying to fall into the atheist when it's in fact, like you say, like extraordinary claims requires extraordinary evidence. So until we don't have an evidence, we are totally open for any of those gods to be true, but we still need the evidence to come around, okay? And you think humanism is a belief?
Humanism?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's a philosophy. It's a way of living life. When you say, a lot of Christians will come to you and say, so what's your atheist worldview? Well, atheism is not a worldview. It's one answer to one question. The question is, do you believe in God? And if you answer anything but yes, then you're an atheist. Now, that's it. Everything else is up to grabs. Technically speaking, Buddhists have a worldview, and they're atheists. Their worldview is not the same as Shintoists, who are atheists. They don't believe in God. They believe in their ancestors, the same as Buddha. They believe that they can be reincarnated, so they believe in souls and karma. They believe in all kinds of things. That's an Eastern atheistic view. They have other views, but they don't believe in gods. Now, the Western, like from the Greeks and the Europeans and England and America and South America, the monotheistic nations, when they lose their belief, they don't believe in gods generally. They don't believe in anything supernatural. So they have to come up with a worldview that will supply them the morals and the things that they feel that they need. to make a better world. And for us, that's humanism. And if I would really recommend that the viewer look it up. I can't give a really good and concise definition of it here, but humanism is well worth looking into.
Definitely, yeah. I think I normally use that term as to define myself. I consider myself a humanist in the sense that I love humans, and I think we all should be able to see our weaknesses and our strength, and recognize our limits of our senses and our bodies, in a way that we actually have to celebrate humans and how amazing we are, how much we have done and collected information and knowledge and technology development.
Sure.
And even in environment ideas that are like climate change talk nowadays, I think we have done a lot and is not being well recognized. All my discussion, I talk a lot. I think a lot of people believe I'm a climate change denier when I'm not. I know the climate change is a process that has happened forever, even though when we were not around, and will be happening even if we all die right now. So the fact is like, let's do some efficient acts instead of keep punishing ourselves, denigrating our own image, and saying like, oh, we're terrible species. We are the only species that is doing something. All the other ones are gonna run away, change their habits, or die. We don't only change habits, we protect everyone else.
No, really, the other species will either have to evolve or die, but there are so many species on the earth, and we've gone through some major extinction events in the past.
It has happened, and it's so silly to say that we're entering a mass extinction. No, it has happened. Yeah.
5% of all of the species that ever existed on Earth are extinct right now. The climate change has gone up and down throughout the history of the Earth. At one time, the Earth was the entire Earth was a snowball. But that doesn't mean that we're not adding to it at this point to such an extent that we're going to be throwing it into a new cycle, a new extreme of global warming, which could melt the ice caps, which it's already doing, and dump all this fresh water into the oceans, which could actually change the jet streams. And if that happens, it could tip us into another ice age. And we may or may not survive as a species. I mean, there have been times in the past when we've gotten down to as few as 20 to 30,000 humans on the planet. And it may happen again. But that's a hell of a drop from like 8 billion people to that. And that means a lot of people are going to suffer and die if we don't do something about it.
Oh, yeah, no, and all those discussions are all linked, because in the same way, I always keep talking about the natural selection, like how would be, yes, it would be working perfectly if we were not fucking with the system, mainly in the way that we are overpopulating, and we in fact not letting natural selection works, because in another scenario, in another time, people that cannot survive would not survive. We're just like injecting money in charity into places that we just reproduce more of the worst of us that cannot make anything better for themselves or for the planet at all. And that is not another discussion that is not approached because it's bad in some way. And I think it just means what we're lacking. It's a lot of rationality in all these discussions. Like, no, we need to set some, like common grounds of like what is factual, what is guessing, what we really know, and what we need to expect. Because like one of the things is like a mass extinction of like, the dinosaurs were extincted. Nobody talks about this, or they are maybe denied. Maybe there are religious people that think that dinosaurs never exist, and fossils are just creation of like
showing their ignorance at that point.
Humans creating, or Satan creation, or whatever. But one of the discussions that I think is important is like, let's approach those points and talk about like United States of America, Canada, and those countries that are being so at fact that they are like bad in some way, they are not even the ones that cause most of the bad effects in the world. So like if you're gonna attack someone, I think like let's do something with the countries that are really causing higher emission on CO2, for example. You know, instead of like Canada, what is Canada doing? Not even 5% of world's emissions. So what do you want? It doesn't matter if you close a tap that is almost closed. It's not going to make anything better. We need to close the big taps that are drooling, like, you know, dropping a lot of more CO2. And that is like, that is not our problem. We cannot police other people's. And like, we're going to keep punching knives and like doing nothing and, you know, facing walls while we're talking.
And not paying the price
for each other, and not attacking and doing measures that are in fact efficient.
Right. I know. You know?
But anyways, we're talking too much about climate change just because it's time of climate change conversations. Anyways, going back to our religions, we don't have much time. I know we have like 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to pick the next question, and if we eventually can have another conversation, I will probably just explore more of those.
Sure.
I have a few pages here of things because it's so much subject, you know, in atheism. And so I heard there is such a 10 Atheist Commandments in your channel, and I really enjoy it. It's
that was, they're really suggestions for living, but one... I got them off of a website. I can't even remember now.
No, I don't want to. I want people to get curious and go check there. I'll put the card here and you guys go check the 10 commandments. I think it's interesting. I think it's important to have some secular commandments, and it's easier to actually find a standard, one standard moral, objective moral, than the arbitrary. Each God is different. Each person choose your own moral. So I suggest go check the secular 10 Commandments. It's
just do a Google on them or watch my video. Either way, I've actually put them on my blog too, DigitalFreethought.com.
That is where I watched the first time, and it's just good. I love it. It's objectivism, individualism. I was trying to make my own before. I end up like with 5 little things more on like action. So there are more like verbs of like think, you know, and more like that. Anyways, I was thinking here of these assumptions of the creationists, how dishonest they are, and how nobody does that question. That I was always doing this when I was little, and people come and say like, God created everything, and then told me the story of the 7 days, and I was so impressed with that thing. And I was like, okay, but what was he doing on the nothing before? And that was like my first question. And seems to like not bother nobody.
Yeah, he was floating around in nothing for what, eternity? Before he ever got around to saying, oh, maybe I need light.
That was exactly my sentence. Like floating on the nothing, doing nothing, and like, you know, not border, and like what would make him to like just like click the finger and give the light. We mentioned yesterday, I want to mention again, just to give a little link here and a card. Oh, I'm so sorry. My alarm. A little link here for people to check on the Mr.Deity. That is, they're
funny,
amazing videos, great, everything talking about all these fallacies all the inconsistencies in the Bible.
Right.
Larry, I heard your alarm, my alarm. This means we're done. And thank you very much for coming. Hope to be in your radio. Check the podcast. It's really fun. People go check the podcast, and hope to be there with you more times and you here with me as well.
It was my pleasure.
Always fun.
Thank you for the call.
Thank you very much.
I'll head down to UT and talk to people about Jesus. About atheism. Anyway.
Yeah, go do your good work.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Have a good day. See you.